What's up, good people? Welcome back to another live with BA and Praise. Listen, I hope y'all brought y'all questions this week. We are going to pick up from last week where we left off. We talking about the 5 greatest qualities that any high income producer has to have if they want to have a chance at becoming a millionaire or exceeding that mark. We went through 3 last week. We're going to pick up on the last 2. And I don't know, we may even have a bonus one for you. And so welcome everybody back to another live Q&A with BA and Praise. P, what's up, bro?
Man, what's up, man? It's last week's was heavy, so I hope they ready for today, man. But I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be here.
For sure, for sure. Let
Yes,
us
sir.
know in the chat if y'all can hear us. Let us know in the chat. Put something in the chat if y'all can hear us loud and clear. As always, like the live, right? Let's push this out to as many people as we can. Share it with some folks if you got something in mind. And do not forget to ask your questions, right? Put them in the chat as we get through this. We'll make sure that we get to them. All right. So P, where we left off, man. Why don't we give some people a recap just in case they missed last week, so we all on the same sheet of music.
Yeah, for sure. So before we recap, I had some few pre questions before we lead into the recap. Is that okay?
Oh, that's fire. Let's do it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So I was just telling you, off camera, as we was chopping it up a little bit, just telling you about my purpose and all the things of that nature. But as I was just debriefing at this whole week, I was like, I sensed, fear in that. Like, it wasn't just, me not trying to hear about it. It was fear in it. So I wanted to ask you, has there ever been a time where you feared the weight of your calling? And what did you do to overcome that?
All the time, bro.
Okay.
All the time. I think it's, I was listening to when I was on my sabbatical last week or whenever, it seemed like that was a month ago now. But when I was on my sabbatical, I was listening to this podcast with Tim Ross and I forget who he was talking to, really not important. What he
Was
was
it
talking
Philip
to her
or
about. No, it was actually the lady that run the Black Christian influencer page. I don't know if
mm,
you ever noticed that before on social media, but she was doing his interview. She was interviewing him, but at his home. So
okay.
initially, I thought it was the Basement podcast, but it was really her podcast. Anyway, I digress. The point was, he talked about how when he first got called out of preaching and into starting a podcast, how fun it was. He was like, it was the thing that he looked forward to doing most every single week. It was just so fun until they had to put business infrastructure in place, till they had to start 1099 people, till they put some people on payroll
Right.
until. And then it went from being this fun hobby, even i.e. a job, to now his assignment.
Mm,
So now whether it's fun or not, he still got to show up and do it because it's the weight of his assignment. And I find that to be true. You know, when before I fully transitioned into business coaching and consulting, I was doing it on the side, right? And David was as well. So I think that's part of the reason why we've had so much success in a short period of time coming together is because we were both doing it on the side already,
yeah.
right? But when I finally shut down my real estate mastermind and I fully stepped into this business coaching arena, then I felt the weight of it differently than I didn't feel when I was serving people like that before. It was just fun.
Right.
So I believe that for every season that God is calling us to more, and by more I mean the more usage of our gifts, the more alignment with our assignment, the more pursuit of our purpose, then those things that excite us also can scare us a little bit once we realize the weight of it all.
Right.
And so I think at least it appears and it sounds to me like you may be experiencing a little bit of that, to where the reality of this ain't something this is something that I get to do, but that I also got to do.
Right. Right.
I think it's that, right? It's
Yes.
I get to do this, but then I also got to do this.
Yes. 100%.
Some things we get to do and we could just stop doing, but some things we get to do and we got to do.
Right. Right.
And then it,
100.
and then it, and then it goes back to, you know, his yoke is easy and his burden is light. So if I'm starting to feel too burdened by it, then that means that I'm carrying too much of it. I'm trying to have too much control over it. I'm trying to see too far in the future. I'm trying to manipulate the outcome of it. I'm trying to do too much other than what's in front of me. What's my next
Right.
step?
That's good.
I remember one time I was in Houston. I was getting this award, as a matter of fact, the one to my left. And they had me speak on a couple different panels, and I had a speaking engagement while I was there. And on one of the panels, I wasn't supposed to have been on it, but just as they heard me speak throughout the weekend, they were like, "Hey, we want you on this panel." And one of the questions was, "What's your big vision that scares you?" Right? What's your big vision that scares you? And everybody was like, "Oh, it's you know, serving 1 million people, putting in schools and facilities in Africa, helping 100,000 women go out and do X, Y, Z in life." And it just so happened I was last, which I was grateful for the fact that I was because of what my answer ended up being. My answer to them was that the only thing that scares me is who I'm going to need to become to do what God really has called me to do. "Oh, B, you can't get off that easy, man. You can't." I said, "I don't think y'all heard what I said." I said, "You got to understand something. I grew up on the west side of Detroit in an 800 square foot bungalow. Dad was a firefighter. Mom was a cashier at a grocery store for 25 years. Somehow, I left corporate America, became a millionaire at 35, bought and sold more houses than I could count, bought and owned over 100 apartments, taught people all over the world in real estate and business. I should have been scared of that already. So what I'm saying is, if there's nothing for me to accomplish that scares me, it's who I need to be to accomplish those things is what scares me.
That's good.
That's the only thing that scares me about vision. I couldn't have never imagined the life I live right now for myself, based on my context and where I come from. So if you really understand the parable of the talents and God blesses us according to our ability, then that means that there's a direct correlation between you having more and you becoming more. If he blesses each of us according to our ability, that means that I have to become more in order to have more, if it's from him. Now I can go out and sow seeds that are not in alignment with him and still reap a harvest.
Right.
Ask me how I had miserable millions. I know what that looked like. But when it's with him, he's going to call you to more so that he can give you the more and know that you got the capacity to steward over it. Watch this. But he's also the type of father that ain't gonna buy you clothes that fit for the day. Why do we buy newborns 6 to 12 months, 8 to 12 month clothes? Because we want to buy them clothes that they can grow into.
That's really good.
And so the way that God works with us is when he calls you to more, your assignment is bigger than your current capacity, but he knows that your current capacity will catch up to your assignment, but it gives you an opportunity and room to grow into it. So that's why it's scary, because it's not fit to size when it happens.
Right. Right.
You see all of this space you still got to fill out. And that's only going to happen through osmosis by doing the work, which is the part that most people avoid.
That's good, B. That's real good. We
So
have
the praise of today is looking at the praise of tomorrow, and he kind of like,
yeah,
man, I got it's a lot of distance between where I am and where I need to be.
right.
But the blessing is that you actually can see that there is a different praise for tomorrow.
Mm,
A lot of people don't even see that. That's why they live for today.
that's good. I ain't never hear it put like that.
Me neither. Me neither. I may have to go back and
Get what
rewatch
you
it.
be. Yo, you're funny. He said me neither. That was good.
And you know I'm
That
so
was
serious. That's what's so funny about it.
yeah, I know. That's why it's funny. Yeah. I know you serious. Yeah, B, that's good. I like yeah, I ain't never hear it that way.
You
I ain't
mind
never
if we
hear it
take
that
this
way.
question real quick?
Yeah, for sure.
How do you handle the burden of helping people who see you as their last chance? How do you handle the burden of helping people who see you as their last chance? I think for me, if I understand the question correctly, I never see myself as the last chance for people. I see myself as an opportunity, but not the last opportunity. Now, it may feel for them in the moment based on FOMO, legitimate fear of missing out, or just based on the fact that they feel convicted and called to me in this particular season. But I'm never in bondage or feeling burdened like I'm their last chance. Because I know I'm simply a vessel. I'm a prepared one, right? But it's arrogant of me to think that God can't use somebody else. Now, if they deem me as being that for them, then I don't carry the burden. They have to carry the weight of that responsibility because I'm gonna be here anyway, right? I'm here. The train is here. If you don't get on it, then that's on you. That's not a me problem because you trying to get to where I'm going. I'm not trying to get to where you going. But I don't have the money. I know. Sounds like you need to go get it. You know what I mean? Like, that's not my problem. That
Right.
sounds like you need to go figure that out.
Right.
Just like I've had to go figure that out, and every other successful person has had to go figure that out. We have all been in a position where we ain't got the money. I know this is what I need. I just don't have it. Okay, then go figure it out. But I'm not going to be burdened by the fact that you not in position to do the thing that you need to do. Because if you want it bad enough, and if you are as convicted in real life as you say you are out of your mouth, you're going to figure it out. If that didn't answer the question specifically, Pepper, that was how I perceived it. So you can give me more context if you need me to double click on that again. Okay.
It's good. That's
What's up,
good.
Mark? Derek, what's up, bro?
Yeah, so my next question would be, and you do this very, what word do I want to use? You do this so unbothered. That's the word I'll use. You have no problem being BA. And I really want you to speak to walking in the fullness of your authenticity in your calling.
Yeah.
Because you have no problem, and I love it. That's why I think you're funny, and I know you're serious, but that's why I love it because you like my sister's the same way. She has no problem saying that's a you problem or you need to go figure it out. Whatever it needs to be said, she'll say it. But you just have no problem being yourself. So can you talk to the importance of walking in your full authentic self, especially in your calling, in your assignment?
Well, And I see Derek put, it sounds like a Moses moment in the chat, right? Just to use Moses for a moment. God could only bless the authenticity of his speech impediment. That he acknowledged that he had a stammer and was concerned, therefore, how could I lead these people? And I got the stuttering problem, right? God oftentimes will use the thing that we're most insecure about, but we got to be vulnerable and honest with God about that thing, though. So he can only bless the real version of you. So you may as well get to be in that version, because otherwise you're gonna be exhausted and you won't be anointed. He can't anoint the character. He can only anoint the one he called. And he wired you specifically for that calling. I think what's important is context, right? So as I mentioned, I think last week, I got this P5 communication mastery program, right? What I figured
Yeah.
out, the real gap in the market is not that people don't have a great webinar, not that they don't have a great challenge, not that they don't have great websites, not that they don't have great funnels. The issue is that they don't have great communication. And just because you're articulate, you announce your enunciation is great, you're loquacious, all the things don't mean that you're an effective communicator. It just means that you're articulate, you're loquacious, that you have a great vernacular, and that you enunciate your words properly. That's all that means. That does not mean you're going to convert in the marketplace. So put the best presentation in front of you, put the best template in front of you, put the best speech outline in front of you. If you don't know how to communicate at a high level to persuade the audience that you're talking to, none of those things are going to work, right?
Yeah.
And I had this big revelation a couple of months ago, maybe not even that long now. So I started this P5 communication mastery program. So one of my clients, she was talking to me the other day. We were in a coaching session earlier this week. And she said, I feel like you hold back sometimes. I said, really? And so she went into it and she was like, but I feel like, and before she could say it, I completed her sentence and I said, but you don't feel like that when I'm with praise. And she said, no, I don't. And I told her how we've had this conversation behind closed doors where because you are in believers in business, because you have been in challenges, you soak up my YouTube, like you see me in all these different settings.
Right.
And so, and just so everybody that's listening, I'm answering his question as to being authentic, just so y'all know. Okay, I am not confused up here. I just want you to understand that. Just hang on. Okay, we about to land the plane. I just think it's important to pop back in and remind people that I ain't forgot. I'm answering the
Right.
question, right?
Right.
So, you see me in all these different expressions,
Right.
and what I told her is that the reason why I have all these different areas in which I communicate, from short form reels to long form teaching videos to podcasts to live Q&A to coaching calls with my clients to all these different things, is because it's the same me in a different expression. If I'm in a webinar format where I'm selling something and it may be a cold audience there, I'm going to communicate a certain kind of way. If I'm in a coaching call with clients who have now become a part of our mastermind, as Jesus will call his 12, right? He said, I speak parables for the public, but when I get my 12, that's when I go deep and explain the meaning of those things. I'm going to talk to them a certain kind of way.
Right.
On this live, it's wide open. That's the intent of it. So I'm going to talk a certain kind of way. But it's all me consistently throughout. And B&B, I'm going to be more of a pastor. I'm preaching the word inside of B&B to business owners. So, and that's believers in business, for those of y'all that don't know what I'm talking about. So I say all of that to say that we have to be able to discern between, am I changing or am I changing form? When I go in different environments, am I changing who I am or am I changing form? When you go to work, you wear certain clothes. When you get home, you wear different ones. When you go to church, well, it used to be. When you go to church, you wear different clothes. When you come home, you change them. When you go to the club, you wear different clothes. When you come home, you change, right? So you're
Right.
changing form, but you aren't changing who you are. Let me know in the chat if that makes sense to y'all, what I just said.
Yeah. Loud and clear to me.
So
Loud and clear.
the essence of this live Q&A, the essence of this unscripted dialogue from week to week is because I know how packaged and dialed in my conversation is in these various settings, that I want people to see me in an open format.
Mm.
In a very organic way. Me and you get on here and we literally, but just so y'all know, we link up oftentimes. I'm running through the airport like OJ just to get on in time. And then it's like, P, what we talking about? I think I'm gonna ask you about the 5 most important things you gotta have as an entrepreneur to win. Okay, cool. You ready to pray? And we pray
That's
and then
good.
we hit go. Like that's literally what happened every week. So
Right.
what y'all are getting is legitimately just open format, unscripted dialogue. And because of that, it's going to pull on different aspects of my personality that if I had a specific goal to deliver in a
Come on.
prepared message, then it won't allow for as much loosey goosey ad lib because I'm clear about what the assignment is that I need to communicate to that audience to get the desired outcome from that audience.
Right.
So it's different.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, that's good, B. See, you did it again. This is what I'm talking about. I don't. But to even speak to this unscripted dialogue, and literally to God be the glory for this. This speaks volumes to you actually doing what you say. Meaning, when you're like, all I do is literally feed myself 24/7. Like, you're like, I'm either, watching a podcast, watching a sermon, listening to the word, whatever the case may be. I know this for a fact. If you weren't doing that, we wouldn't be here this long at all. I know that for a fact. So the fact that we can keep coming back and unscripted and unscripted and unscripted, it just goes to show how much you're really feeding yourself. Because if you weren't feeding yourself, you wouldn't be able to just dig into the well as deep as you do and just pull all these different. It's been different. When did we start going live together?
Probably like March or April, I guess.
And it's December, and you still haven't ran out through God's grace. Like, so that just goes volumes to what you said for one of the most 5 qualities. One of them was keeping your word, and you do that to yourself. So it's just like, I just wanted to add a little bit to that, just because, bro, it's as if, and like you said, I know you say this quote, a prepared man is better than a prepared message. We always come prepared. So like, we literally just pray and just go. Like, that's, if that's not relying on God, I don't know what it is. Like, we don't even, like, we get a bare minimum overview, and however he leads it, he leads it. But that just goes to speak volumes to how much you're truly feeding yourself, because you don't have to, like, you really don't. But yeah, so
No,
this is one of the,
I appreciate you acknowledging that, bro, and
yeah,
not for self-serving reasons, so that others can get just how important it is. I think when I
right,
say it, it sounds flippant sometimes,
right,
but it's critical. If you really believe that you've been called to serve people, how can you not always be preparing yourself to do that? Because you don't know
mm,
when that moment comes that you need to do it,
right,
right? I can get off of here and a pastor that I'm coaching may reach out to me and need immediate counsel. Like, to your point, I got to stay ready so I don't have to get ready. But this is why this is so important. John 14:26 says, but the advocate, the Holy Spirit, from whom the Father will send in my name, will teach you all the things and will remind you of everything I have said to you. Well, how can he remind you of something you never put in you to know to begin with? How can you remind somebody of something they never knew? I mean, is that not what it said?
Yes.
It said, but the advocate, the Holy Spirit,
Wow.
whom the Father will send in my name, will teach you all things and will remind you of everything I have said to you.
Wow.
So what's implied in the text is the Holy Spirit, God within us, his job is to recall the things in us, recall the things out of us that we put in us. So he can only remind me of something if I once consumed it. Which is why it's important when we say, oh, I'll be reading my Bible, but I don't really feel like I retain none of it. Just keep reading it because it's not your job to. He sent an advocate that's going to pull out of you those things and remind you of those things that he told you to do, but you got to read it.
That's
Our
so
job is
good.
the input. His job is the outcome. I try to read my Bible, but I don't really. Look, by the way, I was there. I'm telling you, in 2020, I couldn't remember any verses. Like none. John 3:16, I couldn't remember none of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And eventually, just from staying consistent, he started to recall them at the most critical times, like praying with people while they suicidal. What am I doing this? I don't even remember no scriptures. And then one come out my mouth in the midst of praying with somebody that's suicidal. And I'm like, oh. So all I got to do is just keep reading, keep feeding myself, keep meditating on it day and night. And when the time is necessary for me to use it, he'll pull it out of me. And now that's happened so many times to where, yeah, I remember some of them, I remember a lot of them now, comparatively speaking to where I was. But it's also those that I don't even remember that I remember until it's time to remember it. Well, that's not just the Bible, y'all. There's also the things that you're supposed to specialize in your metron and your scope of genius in your assignment. So if I fill myself up with all of this knowledge and I'm in front of a room and I'm teaching, then guess what? The advocate, he pulling it out of me. See, the part that we fail to realize in this coaching and consulting space is that it ain't just what you were assigned and called to do. It ain't that he gave you a gift of communication. It ain't that he gave you a teaching gift. It ain't that you just so gifted. It's also that he's assigned specific people to get something from you as a result of this. So what you don't know is when you show up unprepared and you got to think about every single word so that you don't trip over your shoelaces while you up there speaking, then it's disallowing you to be fully present so that you can decrease so that God can increase. This is why you'll hear a pastor say, man, I prepared this whole message for 2 weeks. 5 minutes before I came out here, God was like, no point you talk about this. Why did he do that? You think God cared about the topic? You think that he didn't appreciate the preparation for the last 2 weeks? No, it was because he sent somebody to you that he needed to get something to. And because you were so prepared, he could run an audible. But if you're ill prepared, you're never going to allow him to run an audible because you're going to be like, no, because then I'm going to look stupid. Because I don't know my stuff. That's why if I do a webinar 55 times, I practiced it 40 of the times that I delivered it. That's why every single challenge that we run, I go over my material 2 times every single day before I present it. Why? Because as long as I prepare myself, then I allow God room to come in and take over, which is the goal anyway, because he know better than what I know. So I'm gonna prepare myself as well as I can be prepared, so that when he give me these downloads and these convictions to say, I need you to take this pivot right here, that I'm not so handcuffed to my material because I don't know it well enough that I won't come off of it to do what he called me here to do. If his plans are greater than our plans and his thoughts are higher than our thought, why do you think the book tells us that? His ways are not our ways. Then that means that regardless of how great of a thing I think I prepared, there's always better. If his thoughts are higher than our thoughts and his ways are not our ways and his plans are better than our plans, then that means that no matter how great I think I came up with something, that there's always better. And I always want to leave room for that whatever is better.
That's good. That's great.
Because guess what? It ain't about me. It's about what he's able to accomplish through me. The only thing that's about me is how well did I prepare. It's the only thing that's about me. How well did I prepare? And we just misleading people in the marketplace, bro. We telling all these people about how they gonna go make all this money and how they gonna do all these great things and just read this script and do this line and jump in 3 circles, and it's goofy. It's like, no, that's not how you truly gonna win. Not if you really trying to kingdom build. Not if you really trying to fulfill your purpose. You get some money. You get some money, but this what I'm talking about? When you have people come up to you and say, I felt like you were speaking directly to me, that only happens through him. You ain't that smart. None of us are. I could have thought of this pre-frame for this group of people and that pre-frame for that group of people and this objection killer and that. Like, I'm dialed in for sure. Technically, strategically, I'm dialed in. But the only way I can pierce the soul of that one that needed to hear something specific is if I allowed myself to be fully present so he can navigate through me. That's the only way that happens. So the best thing you can do is prepare and get out of his way. Prepare and get out of his way.
That's so good. Well, you just showed us how to do it, so thanks. Appreciate it.
You silly, man.
How you go tell us to prepare and get out of his way? You just did it.
So Derek says, do you pray over your material prior to delivering it? I wouldn't say I pray over my material, right? I'm kind of unconventional in that way, right? In terms of my prayer life and how I navigate with God. It's a rhythm to it, but not a lot of structure to it.
That's good.
You know what I mean? It's not very like traditional, take the cloth off at this particular angle and fold it that way. It's not that, but it's a rhythm and consistency to it though.
That's good.
And so while I don't necessarily pray over my material, what I do is I'm just always inviting him in to my creative space before I shoot content when I'm thinking correctly. I ask him to come in. Right? Because even on your even the content you post every day, anytime you're gonna be communicating and interacting with other human beings, you gotta know that he wants to be involved. But we don't think of it like that. We kind of like it's just shooting a video. It's like, yeah, that's gonna do something to the person that hears it. Because life and death is in the power of the what? The tongue.
Tongue.
So he's always concerned about what's coming out of your mouth. So I invite him into those creative spaces. You know, just may I decrease so that you can increase. Give me the words, flow through me as I create this content today. I appreciate you. Like, that's the prayer. And then I just go do it. And I just feel a knowing while I'm doing it. Watch this. But this is also how you create those couple of pieces of content that you didn't really care for, but then they be the ones that be the best performers. The ones you thought you caught it off the backboard and boomed it, that's the one that be like, couple likes. You know what I'm saying? The
Right.
one you feel iffy about be the one to take off. Because that's the one that his fingerprint was on.
Come on.
I'm just telling y'all what I've learned.
You need to, bro.
Just through my trials and tribulations. But I don't think, Derek, if you are more traditional, right? I wasn't poo-pooing on that for nobody. If it feels more natural to you to prepare your material and then pray over the material, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think it's just acknowledging him in all our ways. Right?
And to add to that, you know, I'm very traditional. Your boy, your boy grew up traditional. He think traditional. Everything's traditional. I realized in this year though, the everything that I told God about didn't happen traditionally. That happened, that he did, it did not happen traditionally at all. I remember the first time me and Brian was talking, or the first time me and Brian were doing this live together. When I tell you, I'm so used to you ever been at a Thanksgiving dinner or some dinner and they just praying heaven down before the food come? They asking for Jesus to touch the food and for the angels to surround us and for every wicked power to get out the way. That's what I'm used to. So I'm used to everybody praying heaven down before we
Oh
even
man.
make a step. You know what I'm saying? I'm so
Yeah.
used to that. Brian go, Father, in the name of Jesus, we love you and appreciate you. Help us decrease so you can increase. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I'm like, what? I went back to God like, God. I'm like, you heard him pray? Oh my God. Oh my God. No, what? I promise you, I wrestled with that for weeks because I'm like, no, he ain't pray heaven down. But I'm like, I'm like, I was lost. I'm so for real. I'm like, yo, he ain't pray heaven down. I'm like, God, I'm like, there's no way you be doing that. Like, he only said something for like 3 seconds. I'm like, he said something for 3 seconds. I prayed for 50 hours and you feel me? I'm like, God, you using him and he prayed for like 4 seconds. I'm like, that's not fair. So I'm wrestling with that all for weeks. I was wrestling with that until I started doing it and I everything shifted. When I stopped being as traditional and I like, because praying over material, bro, I would pray heaven down for everything. If I'm not speaking in tongues by the end of that prayer, I don't think the prayer right. Like that's how I used to. That's how I. That's how. That's how they taught me. They like, you better be speaking in tongues by the time that prayer is ended, right? And
Hey,
I'm not saying it's
you
bad,
said
but
you said I was praying diet prayers. You like his prayers on a diet. How you praying diet prayers and they
right,
working?
right. So I'm like, there's no way, like God, is honoring that. But the difference is that he was honest. That prayer was honest. That was the difference between what he was praying and what I was praying. My prayer wasn't always honest. There's times where B is literally expressing where his heart is currently as he's praying. And he's like, Lord, but I decrease so you increase. But he's being honest. I'm praying because that's the way mama prayed. That's the way pastor prayed. That's the way I've heard everybody pray around me. But in my heart, I'm like, God, I'm really just tired, but I just pray that you take control. That's how I want to pray.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been so accustomed to if it doesn't sound like this, he's not hearing me. So when Brian prayed that way, I was like, if God is doing this for him and he's praying that way, I'm adopting that.
That's good, bro.
Simple. So I was like,
Good.
that's why, like, and like he said, like he's not, pooping on, you praying over the material. But I would argue to say, even Jesus was like, some of your traditions are violating what I'm trying to tell you
Mm-hmm.
because it will box you in. And then when you box yourself within tradition, you box God in. Because I told God last year, I want to speak to a millionaire. I didn't ask him for how long to speak to him, though. I never asked for that. I just said, I want to speak to one. And if I do that, that's fine. I've spoken to one since March until December and had dinner with them. I didn't ask for none of that. All of those things happen in a non-traditional way. So that's why I'm saying, like, I would recommend you just let the Holy Spirit do it because everything I've wanted this year did not happen traditionally whatsoever
Yeah,
at
that's
all.
good. That's good, bro. That's real good.
Yeah.
You know, they say that some things are taught, other things are caught.
Oh, I caught something. I'll tell
You
you that.
caught some things for sure. And
Yeah.
honestly, those are the best teaching moments for me is when I catch stuff. You know, some things are taught, other things are caught. You know, what's funny about that is the opposite is also true,
Mm.
right? I remember when I first started doing challenges, I'm one that when somebody shows me something, I'm going to run the exact same play as much as I can. So my mentor at the time, 3 years ago, when I saw him do challenges, he had this specific setup. Now he had a like office building, which he's now expanded, but at that time, and he had like a whiteboard, you know, and he would sit down for the Q&A portion and then would stand up during the presentation part. So I was like, okay, well, I ain't got that at the crib. So I was paying $7,000-8,000 flying to Detroit, right? To be in the studio with my videographer. I had him set the studio up very similar to how my mentor studio was set up. I would live in the hotel for 8 days, right? And basically every time I did a challenge for like my first 3 or 4 challenges, I would fly up there and do this bit. I'm out of 8 grand up front. Don't even know what I'm gonna recoup on the back end. But for me, the risk is worth the reward because if I don't do it this way, I'm too uncertain about what the results could be because I'm still trying to find my footing in this new environment of what I'm doing.
Right.
Right. And I remember it got to a point where I started to find a rhythm. Right. I'm finding a rhythm. This is probably like my third challenge. I'm starting to feel myself a little bit. Right. Oh, you don't want me to be that honest? You know what I'm
No,
saying?
hey,
Yeah,
be
I'm
honest.
like your boy on one. It's like day 3, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm about to boom. You know what I'm saying? I'm coming off the backboard. So I pray that prayer. I pray that prayer. Let me decrease so that he can increase, right? But you know, when I said it that day, it was cute. Cause I
Mm.
really, based on how I had prepared, I'm like, bro, this thing's so dialed in. I can't wait. Cut that mic on. I'm ready for him today. Right.
Right.
Man, I said, may I decrease so he can increase, bro. When I tell you I had constipation in my conversation that day, it felt like somebody grabbed my tongue. It was like, come here. Every other word wasn't coming out right. I'm like, how is this happening right now? I get done, right? And your boy pissed. I'm not remembering the prayer though, right?
Mm.
I'm baffled as to how this just happened. Everything I prepared, it did not go as planned. And the videographer was like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, bro, that was horrible, man. He was like, I think that was your best day. I
Mm.
said, what did you say to me, sir? My point is this. When you pray that prayer, may I decrease so that you can increase? Oh, he mean it. You know what I'm saying? He's going to act according that you meant that.
Right.
Because that he did. He increased and I decreased. So just know that when you pray that prayer, don't let it be cute. Mean what you say. Because he took it to heart.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. See, like a day like today, listen, you'll hear it. You know you're gonna hear it from me. I ain't even gonna bother that right now. But we could finally get into these rules because the Lord just had you driving, the racetrack all crazy just now. So last week we went over the first 3 rules. The first one was communication. Second one was setting non-negotiables, and the third one was keeping my word. So if you could just recap each one on why it's important to have those. So starting with communication, you can start there, and then we'll finish the last 2.
Right. So if you want to be a millionaire, I think that was kind of the benchmark that we use. That you got to have your communication is paramount, right? It's got to be
Right.
effective in your coaching. It's got to be effective in your sales. It's got to be effective in your presentations. And the only way is you get to that point is to learn how to get to that point.
Right.
You just don't get better from just doing it. You got to actually have new inputs to change your outputs,
That's good.
right? It's got to be
That's
some
good.
intentionality behind that.
Right.
Shout out to Laquana. We working on that right now, Miss McNeil, right?
Can
So
can can I
go
ask you
ahead.
some with
Sure.
communication? So something with you, that I think is paramount in your communication is your cadence. So I was talking to my sister, and she was like, "I think everybody thinks people that you talk to, the reason why you're a good communicator is because you speak with cadence." And I'm like, what the heck is cadence? Like, I'm just talking. Like, I don't know what cadence is. But then she's like, cadence is literally like in the rhythm in the way that you're speaking, like when you're pausing, when you're doing. So one thing with you is that you have an excellent cadence when you're speaking. So can you like just talk to like how important is cadence when you're speaking? Because the way you do it, you'll say something and I'm thinking you're done. You're thinking I need them to digest what I just said, and then you'll keep going. So I'm just like, like how important is that? I just wanted you to touch on that a little bit.
So one, thank you. The thing with cadence is this: if you have something really important to say, then you need to slow down either your speech so that they can get it, or you need to slow down the moment so that they can absorb it. Like I just did, right? Because that was something that needed to be absorbed, and that was something that was
Right,
very important. So,
right,
and initially, you have to first be consciously aware of these things so that you can practice them, and then it gets to a point where intuitively that thing would just happen. This is what I mean by you have to first understand and change the inputs if you want different outputs. So if you don't know that that's even a thing, you're never going to do that intuitively because you never understood that you should do it to begin with. So because you talk fast and you just got the nature to always speed through everything that you say and you just think that that's comfortable because that's what you've been doing all your life and you're just going to do that all the time. And then you're just going to have people say, you talk so fast. I know I've been doing that all my life. And right? Like that's what happened when we're not consciously aware.
right,
We're a car accident somewhere is what we are. And we're not, and people telling us like how bad the wreck is and we don't even see it because we just used to getting in accidents every day.
mm,
So this is what happens.
that's good.
Or, I just I woke up this morning and had my cup of coffee and went out and read the paper and let the dogs out and oh, you're so deep and introspective. No, you're boring everybody. Is what's happening, sir. We're sleeping.
Yo,
We're
you're
sleeping.
right.
Right?
He said, "Oh, you so deep in
But he's serious though. He got his pipe with the thing on the end
right,
of it. Yeah, and I wrote 3 papers and bro, we tired, we bored, we sleepy.
right,
So part of being an effective communicator is understanding what is your natural disposition. Maybe I am a fast talker. That means I got to consciously fight against my natural leaning to slow that down.
right,
If I know that I am kind of monotone and if you got dry eyes, try clear eyes. You know what I'm saying? If I'm that guy, then I have to be consciously aware when I'm speaking in front of a group of people that I need to force myself to communicate with more voice inflection and change my tonality and my pitch in and out and speed up my cadence every now and again. So it doesn't mean that you aren't going to naturally do what you naturally do. But it does mean that you have to be consciously aware so that you can force yourself into moments that you don't do what you naturally do. Like me on and off camera. I'm chill. That's just who I am. I'm a
right,
speaker of conviction, but I'm also very laissez-faire. I'm, whatever. I'm cool. I'm kicking it. I'm chilling.
right.
But when I'm in the front of the room, I have to consciously push myself out of that mode and go in and out so that I can keep the listener engaged to what's going on and I can get them to get what I'm talking about.
That's very good.
Because the right message delivered wrong is still going to have the wrong outcome.
Can you say that again?
The right message delivered wrong will still have the wrong outcome.
You won. You got it.
Did that answer the question? Like that's the piece that most people miss. They do what's most natural all the time
Mm.
instead of understanding that it's a skill. I'm sure that the way that Jordan shot the ball initially was most natural to him. I'm sure the thing that made him the greatest of all time was learning some new inputs about how he shot the ball, though. So what comes natural to you becomes the baseline, not the standard.
That's good.
Now that I understand my baseline, how do I build from there?
That's good.
Right? It's why we teach the four personality types: shark, whale, dolphin, urchin. It's easy for me to just stay in shark whale mode, which I live there 70% of the time. But then I know that there's some analytical people, there's some urchins that's gonna be listening. So I'm gonna hit them with some measurable facts. And then I know it's some dolphins that's gonna be watching. So I'm gonna have to hit them with some comedic relief here and there and crack a joke and be funny here and there. And use some hyperbole to keep their attention, reset their synapses while they listening. By the way, sharks need little detail. Dolphins are jovial, want to be buddies. Sea urchins are analytical people, and whales are very empathetic. So because I know that about people, that we have all four of those in us, but we're more dominant in certain areas than others, then I have to be consciously aware of that as I'm communicating, that although I'm a shark whale by nature, that I still have to appease these other personality types that's listening so that we can all stay together throughout the conversation.
That's good.
Because I'm not talking for me, I'm talking for them.
Right.
So communication is paramount. It's the number one skill. None of this other stuff works as effectively as it should or could if you have not mastered that skill. That's why I'm doubling down on that in this season. Thank you, Laquana, for pulling my coattail, so to speak, and forcing me to do it. Because now it's so clear to me, bro. Like
Mm.
it's where people go wrong, and they think just because they're intelligent and that they, again, speak articulate and all the other things, that makes them an effective communicator. And it does not. Not if you want to move the room and create conversations that lead to cash flow.
Mm.
You get all your words right, but you ain't gonna have no money at the end of it.
That's good.
I may read slow, but I think fast.
I could tell because I'm asking you questions. You just so I'm not surprised. Man, next one we got setting non-negotiables. And could you just talk to that for a little bit as well?
Yep, it says what it means. It is a non-negotiable. It is a boundary that I placed in every aspect of my life, that I disallow myself to let others penetrate that boundary and for me to neglect it. If I got to get these 5 things done today by hook or crook, I don't care what all the other noise is telling me, what all the other distractions are telling me, these 5 things got to get done. It's up to me when I want to call myself done for the day. It's up to me when I want to go to bed. If it ain't done, then it wasn't a non-negotiable.
It's good. And then the third one is keeping my word.
It, you know, scripture says that a house divided against itself won't stand.
Yeah.
When you make a habit of lying to yourself, that means that your conscious and your subconscious are at odds. You said you were going to do this and didn't do this consciously. Your subconscious is building up a record of how many times that you've said something that you didn't do. So what happens is you can't stop eating pizza for 3 nights, but you said that you were on a diet. Nobody tapped you on the shoulder to remind you of it, but your subconscious is keeping record of it. Then you say, I'm about to go build $1 million business over the next 12 months. And your subconscious like, Negro, you couldn't stop eating pizza for 3 days. Go sit down. I don't believe you. This is why we feel incongruent when we set a goal for ourselves and we got all of this restriction and friction when we're trying to take the action. It's because your subconscious and your conscious are not in alignment. Because consciously you don't keep your words so much and your subconscious is keeping record of that. A house divided against itself won't stand. We have to say what we mean and do what we said. So that you constantly fostering this good soil and this good record with your subconscious to where then when you say I'm gonna go do something else, it'd be like, okay, yeah, let's go do that. You can lie to everybody else. You just can't make a habit of lying to yourself. It's far too detrimental to your ability to go and continue to pursue things wholeheartedly.
It's good. And now, B, it's back on you again. What's rule number 4? So communication number 1, setting non-negotiables number 2, keeping my word is number 3. What would you say is number 4 right now?
Execution.
I had a feeling you was gonna say that.
Execution. Execution. Everybody got an idea. Very few execute on them. Everybody got an idea. Very few execute on them. You want to piss a millionaire or a billionaire off? Give them another idea. They want to see the execution of it. That's why they have this thing in business called proof of concept. Show me your proof of concept. You go out in LA, you want to create a film, director like, executive producer like, show me your proof of concept. Show me what you've already done in a smaller setting that will allow me to see the vision as to why I should go and raise capital as an executive producer or participate in your filmmaking. Not just because you got a great idea for a movie. I got 1,000 scripts. I only had time to read them. So many poor trees that are going to go to waste as a result of this paper that I'm about to burn. I'm not even going to get to them because everybody got ideas. I need proof of concept. If you can just get up every day and execute more than the next person, bro, execution cures a lot of ills. Wherever you may be deficient, whether it be financially, intellectually, people may be smarter than you, people may have more money than you, but if you get up and execute at a higher level than them, in a more consistent basis than them, you're going to win in the long run. I think that's why the Bible is so explicit in faith without works is dead. Too many believers just sitting around praying and praying and praying. They ain't moving their feet. God is always going to do his part, but he's never going to do your part. He's always going to do his part, and he's never going to do your part. That's the agreement. So when you can become habitual with execution, everything changes. The only reason why I'm in this place in my life is because of execution. The good news for me is that I can't have an idea that I believe that heavily in and not do something about it. Like it actually internally it does something to me where it agitates me to a point where I'm unsettled. I don't have peace unless I do something about it. So I have to move from idea to execution. Probably because I'm not an urchin, right? Urchins are very analytical. I can't hyper obsess over the same thing over and over again. If it's something that important, to where it's constantly on top of mind, I got to do something about it. Even to find out I shouldn't be doing it, I still have to do something to find out that I should or shouldn't be doing it.
Mm.
And lastly, after execution, number 5 will be never quit, only pivot. Never quit, only pivot. When you quit, you kill all motion and momentum. When you pivot, you still got some motion to you. Always stay in motion. Momentum is the hardest thing to get as an entrepreneur. Getting out of a stuck inertia position is the most challenging thing to ever do. When you got momentum, keep it. When we shut down our real estate coaching program after 6 years, I didn't quit, just pivoted. I already had momentum and that momentum carried over. I didn't sit dormant for months and wait to start the other thing. The best time to look for a plan B is while you got your plan A. If you want to stop working on what you're working on, start working on something you do want to work on and then pivot.
It's good. That's all I got, B.
That's all I got too. God bless y'all. Let us know if you got any questions. Put them in the comments. Share this with somebody that need to hear it. And as always, we'll see y'all next week.